Hey guys, it's Christy. I am in full summer cold mode, so I can barely talk. And I look super awesome. Look at me. Oh my god, look at my hair. I'm coloring it red tonight. So this is what 44 with a 5-month-old looks like. Anyway, I'm going to show you real basic watercolor techniques on a baby. Not painting an actual baby, but a picture of a baby. We're gonna use baby Luke. What I've done, let me show you here. Let me turn this so you can see. What I have done is sketched out a portrait of Luke using graphite, just basic, kind of a harder pencil like an HB, but I sometimes just go for a number 2. This is 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. The key to successful watercoloring with humans is to be really light with your pencil drawing. The only dark places on a person's face should be the eyes, the nostrils, and the corners of the mouth. If you were to have ears, the inner part of the ear will have another dark spot, but everything else usually has a very light tone. And when working with watercolor, these are all going to be transparent, so it'll show through. You can also use your watercolor paints to define areas, so you don't actually need to draw in the lip because you'll use your paint to draw in the lip or the shadows. So I don't put any shadow marks, I don't put any creases. I am very, very light around the hairline, around the lips, and around the nose. As we will be painting that in. I'm starting with a baby because baby skin is partially transparent. They're very light, almost eggshell, not even eggshell, they're like little pearls. They're so just translucent, and it doesn't matter what color your skin is, it's the same for all babies. They just come out like with a glisten that is perfect for watercolor. And also, in my experience, which is a lot, babies don't have egos, so they're not going to say, my nose is too fat, or you didn't do my hair right, or my cheeks look too chubby. So they're not going to say anything, and they're just going to look adorable anyway. So what I normally do to start with is I usually just start with the eyes. The eyes are the most expressive part, and then I kind of just work out and around and just start filling the shading in. So I will show you what colors I'm choosing, and I've basically just got a printout of the kid. And don't be ashamed to trace, as many of you know that I am a big fan of tracing, because if you really prefer to draw and not spend your time, or if you prefer painting and not spending your time drawing, that's what we're here to do. As far as colors on my color palette, I like to use, let's see, I'm trying to make sure it's all in here. I like to use a very limited palette. I use a lot of lemon yellow, which I'm going to have to refresh that. This is just for babies, this is not for big kids. Lemon yellow, and it depends on your skin tone as well. This baby is fairly fair, so I use this a Phthalo Crimson, and these are just my local Hobby Lobby, not so great paint sets. These are nice, these HWCs. That's kind of a nice, it's probably all backwards for you. But with paint, with paper, with canvas, with anything, you get what you pay for. So the more you spend, the better off. See, here's a nice $11 tube of paint. This is Rose Madder. So this is a real kind of transparent pinkish color. I love my phthalo blue. It's almost like a, let's see if I can find it. It's almost like a teal. You could do it like, here's a Viridian. It's like an aqua color. Put a little bit of that down, and this one's all gross. It's all over my fingers. That's good. Ugh. Where's my phthalo? I don't use ultramarine. I don't use Prussian. No cobalt. I want my... Here's phthalo. Phthalo blue. Okay, here we are back. You can tell I still have my cold. Here's my palette. It cut off at me showing you cerulean. So for doing the baby portrait, I'm going to be using cerulean, this like kind of a phthalo rose madder, some lemon yellow. God, look how gross my fingers are. Phthalo blue and some like teals. So there's my nasty little palette of paints I use over and over. I created this wonderful video showing how I start with my painting. I do a real light sketch, just real gentle with the pencil lines. You don't want too much of that pencil showing through. Here's my picture, it's my little guy. Because you want to create most of the shadows with your paint. You don't want a bunch of like shadows and lines going in throughout here. So I went ahead and started working on the eyes, which he's got some blue, serious blue eyes. They're dark on the outside and light on the inside. So what I was doing was kind of showing how you can start by working that dark on the outside and just fade it in and leave that white. So what you want to leave white, leave that white. You can always come back and add layers. I'm going to do a real quick touch up to those, and then I'm going to stop and I'm going to start on his actual skin tone, and I will talk you through that. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. I have chosen a few different round brushes. These are all number 10s. I don't normally pay much attention to the size. I just go into the store and kind of feel them out and see what I like. I like synthetic brushes myself because I like them to be a little bit tougher than some of the natural brushes are a little too soft for me. I like to be able to like get after my painting a little bit more than others. This, obviously, I've used this paintbrush quite a few times to the point that I've duct taped it back together again. So for this little guy, let's just start, you know, you need to add just a real thin layer of water, working wet on wet, to get just a brief little skin tone going around the top. Now, remember, you want to have really clean water because even the water will show up on paper. Just the water stain itself is going to show up on there. So I'm just going to kind of put just a little bit on here. And I want to fill in the whole thing because it will show. So I'm going to go like right to his brow, and I'm just going to do his forehead real quick. Right to the edge, right along the hairline, just real light. So he is a little super fair skinned baby. I'm using just a hint of the like rose color with a hint of orange. I'm just kind of mixing them right there on my brush. I'm going to come and I'm going to hit it right here. It's a little too pink for me, but that's okay because we can just feather it. Add a little bit of orange. And I'm just kind of feathering it, wiping my brush. I love to dip and wipe my brush off like more than I actually paint. So I'm always dipping and drying my brush off. I'm going to grab some of that lemon yellow because I like bright, crazy colors. I'm going to add that in there. Now he does have a little shadow here, and that's going to be where our like phthalo blue or cerulean come in. Let me add a little bit more yellow right here, just real light. So that's super bright yellow, and I'm just kind of wet on wet. I'm dragging that color across. I drag a little bit more pink. Kind of pump that back in there a little bit more. And I'm going to tell you, I am no serious expert on painting people. There are painters out there that are like magicians when it comes to doing watercolor portraits. So this is just how I paint. This is just my technique. Take from it what you will. There's a little bit more orange. I hope it just inspires you to use more color where you maybe didn't think about using certain colors, or just being more free with your waters. Let it flow and let the watercolor do its thing. So I'm cheating and I'm going down his cheek. I wasn't planning on doing that, but it's kind of like coloring in a color book. I just keep going where the brush takes me. So I'm gonna fill in that cheek. I'm gonna grab a little bit of pink for his little cheeks. Comes right off his eye. If you know the anatomy here, he's got that little cheekbone right there, a little fatty fat. I'll push that around. And then his little eye, like kind of like his forehead, orbital bone there. And then we're just gonna pull this up and keep it dry under his eye, but fade that in. So this is all dry here. And I'm using just a real light brush, not very wet at all. And I'm just kind of pulling that paint down onto the dry paper. It will fade as it dries, so you can't be too crazy with your color. And with watercolor, of course, you can layer, so if you feel like you've gone a little too crazy with your color, just let it dry, see what happens, come back. You can always add more. Ew, I didn't like that color. So there we go. Just water, dry off my brush, fade it in. I'm gonna go over here and hit the bridge of his nose. Here's where this shadow comes in. So we're doing wet on dry, so we can get that kind of sharp little angle where that bridge is. Wet brush, clean, no paint on it, just fade it out. Fade it. Wipe your brush off, dry it off, and then fade it out again. Just pull that paint right off. So now I'm adding a little pink. Okay, so we're gonna end the video here. This is not finished. He definitely needs a little work on his eyes and ears and shadows and all that too. I will post a finished painting soon. But I hope this helped with some technique. I'm sorry my video is so crazy. I don't know what I'm doing, really. But I just wanted to show you how you just layer and layer and layer those colors to get that baby skin. Just layers of pinks, yellows, blues, oranges, and you end up with that nice, cute little baby skin. So stay posted, stay tuned, and keep painting. See ya.